What's up, everybody? Matt Moran here for another weekly update. So there's lots of exciting news to go over here this week. And the first news story is kind of something out of left field that we weren't expecting. And that is some news from Acura. So their assistant vice president of sales sat down with Automotive News for an interview. And for everyone who was complaining about the Integra not being some two-door with 300 horsepower for $25,000, here's your dose of reality. I was saying back when that car came out, everyone was whining and complaining about it. I'm like, just be thankful it's here at all, even if it's not exactly what you wanted it to be. And this shows that the Integra is going to probably be the last fun thing that Acura does with a gas engine here, it seems. So what their VP of sales here is quoted as saying is that we're going to bypass hybrids altogether, so our shift is going very rapidly into battery electric vehicles. That's our main focus. And then he added, we're not just dipping our toe in the water with electric at Acura. We're jumping all in. And that's not just because we need to, it's because we want to. Acura is really focused on performance, and electrification is one of the greatest ways we can augment that performance. So, you know, everyone wants to be, you know, super picky about, you know, what gets made. I get it. You know, I would love some kind of two-door 300 horsepower for 25 grand as well. That's just not the reality these days. And like I've said with any of these cars, whether it's a Supra or anything in the past few years that's been controversial, be thankful it's here at all. And this goes to show the Integra, you know, basically is the final hurrah here before Acura goes all electric. And so, you know, for a lot of people, that just means cross another manufacturer off the list. But this is what all the car companies are doing. Everyone's racing towards electrification in one form or another. Affordable performance stuff like this isn't, you know, going to be something that's really a thing, sadly, you know, as things get more and more expensive. And so we need to savor these fun vehicles. And so, yes, it might not be exactly what you were hoping it would be, but it's a manual transmission, gas-powered car. And just those two things together are going to be very, very rare as we continue on into the 2020s here. So just a little dose of reality. You know, I mean, obviously we can always go back and buy the old stuff and enjoy the old stuff, but if you're looking for something new, enjoy you know, stuff like this while it's here, because I'm sure the Integra won't last, you know, forever either. So, you know, enjoy it for the next few years here, and then we'll see, you know, what Acura does with the electric stuff. But, you know, it obviously goes without saying that it's not going to be a manual transmission, and with the electric thing, it will be fun in a different way, but it will not be the same, you know, revving engines and stuff that we have currently. So just a little bit of perspective here on the new Integra that I thought was worth highlighting. But if you are a fan of, you know, fun gas-powered vehicles, all hope is not lost. It's not all gloom and doom here. There's some really great news, especially if you're a Corvette Z06 fan or someone that's looking to buy the new Z06 here. So the Corvette's marketing manager sat down and did a talk with the Corvette Today podcast, and he wasn't able to reveal exact pricing, but he revealed to the host of the show that the pricing will be announced soon, but we are telling people basically if you're used to the previous generation Stingray to Z06 base to base price gap, roughly, it shouldn't be something you wouldn't expect. So, you know, I mean, I guess that certainly makes sense, but this is just good reassurance that it's not like they're going to, you know, jack up the Z06 to some insane price point just because it has an awesome, insane race engine in it. And so, you know, if you do the math here, it looks like for C7s, they were between $24,000 to $27,000 more expensive over the course of the C7 generation to go from a regular base Stingray to a base Z06. So obviously with inflation and stuff, that could rise to maybe a $30,000 price gap, something like that. But if it does stay between that $24,000 and $27,000 price gap, we're looking at a starting price between $86,000 and $90,000 for the new Z06. Honestly, though, anything under $100,000 is a screaming bargain, and you know, so even if it starts a little bit above 90, you know, for something that has an engine you can only get in stuff like a 911 GT3 for another 40 grand over that, and you know, everything else that's just way more expensive with these kinds of engines. I mean, like I said, it's a bargain at anything remotely close to $100,000. So that's fantastic news there, and yeah, can't wait for these things to start hitting the streets next year. Toyota also gifted us with another teaser here of the GR Corolla right at the end of last week. I wasn't able to include it in last week's video, but here this week, it's just another video of a camoed car in the shadows, and it's uploaded to Instagram, which means it's super low resolution, very hard to tell anything. I'm sure that's deliberate, but it's just unfortunate because we can't really tell a whole lot. What we can barely make out, as you can see, GR4 is written on the camo and on the shipping container as well. So those both confirm again that it'll have the GR Yaris's all-wheel drive system, which is fantastic news. It's going to actually have all-wheel drive. Finally, it's so funny that even though Toyota owns a little chunk of Subaru, Toyota's now the one to make an Evo successor in a way and finally make something to compete with the WRX in a good way outside of the Golf R. But also, the shipping container shows the G16 lettering, which again confirms the GR Yaris engine that was already confirmed in the last teaser. So no new information in this teaser really, but just reconfirming all that stuff. And I'm just happy we're getting teasers. I'll take all the teasers they want to send our way. Hopefully we get a better view of it little by little and maybe get some other new information here. But still just exciting to get this slow ramp up here. But I mean, we've now had a couple of teasers here in just the past month, so hopefully we get more info soon. Hopefully the full reveal isn't too far off either, now that they're officially starting to, give us a little drip of information little by little. So that's exciting to see. And Porsche has revealed a Vision Gran Turismo car here this week for the Gran Turismo 7 game. And while the car might only be designed for a video game, some styling cues here could eventually translate to a future production car. And either way, it looks awesome. The specs are pretty crazy as well, having 1,100 horsepower from 2 electric motors for all-wheel drive, of course, and in overboost mode it can actually do 1,274 horsepower along with a 2.1 second 0 to 60 and a 0 to 124 mile per hour time of 5.4 seconds. So seriously fast for this thing. And it's interesting that Porsche even managed to share a hypothetical battery pack size and range, saying it has an 87 kilowatt hour battery and then it can do 311 miles of range. And so those specs are really similar to the Mission R concept. And so, it's possible that Porsche is actually cooking up something roughly this crazy, in the future, maybe for some new electric hypercar or something like that. It's also entirely possible that they just had kind of the same setup from the Mission R and they just kind of transplanted that over since this is just for a video game, and that, it isn't hinting at anything more. Although, I'm guessing that, some of the design elements you're seeing here could be toned down and applied for a production vehicle in the future. But yeah, very cool to, see that nonetheless. Something else that sounds like it's out of a video game, but is actually reality, is an announcement from Polestar this week that owners of all-wheel drive Polestar 2s can download more power for their car. And so it gives you an extra 67 horsepower and 15 more pound-feet of torque thanks to a new powertrain calibration. And it can be purchased from the Polestar Extras online store and installed over the air, so you don't even need to go to a dealership or anything. And it's currently available in Europe and will be available in the US and Canada in spring. And so in Europe it costs about $1,100 for this upgrade. So let me know in the comments what you think. If an extra 67 horsepower you can just download is worth $1,100 to you. But I mean, that's a really nice little boost there. It is worth noting Tesla has pushed out some upgrades for free that made their cars a little bit faster. But hey, still not bad. And I just think it's cool that they're even offering that. And obviously, if you bought a Polestar 2, you're probably happy with its current power output. So this is just kind of a cherry on top for those who want more. So cool to see that. Another electric vehicle that's getting faster is the Tesla Cybertruck. So Elon Musk this week tweeted that the first Cybertrucks to be produced will actually be a 4-motor variant. Previously, there was only like a tri-motor was like the top one. Now there's a 4-motor variant that he says will have independent, ultra-fast response torque control of each wheel, along with an insane technology bandwagon, and that not only can it turn like a tank, but it can also drive diagonally like a crab. So it will basically do the crab walk thing that the Hummer EV pioneered, which is cool. And there's no info on what the new specs would be for the extra motors. I mean, you could probably do the math and roughly figure it out, but regardless, it's going to be insane. And I think they're really going after the Rivian R1T, which also has a 4-motor setup. And, so I think that's kind of, what they're going for there with that. There's no updated timeline or pricing or anything like that either. So who knows when all this is going to arrive, but still cool to see nonetheless. And back to Volvo and Polestar for one more story here. There's Autocar here is reporting this week that Volvo and Polestar will both be planning to debut a new EV here relatively soon. They're both going to be kind of more affordable EVs. The Volvo one is supposedly a smaller kind of city car kind of thing, and that'll be on a Ghibli platform, and the Polestar is going to be a bigger model position between the Polestar 2 and the Polestar 3, but strangely be called the Polestar 4. And so that's supposedly going to be using the same current platform you see with the Volvo XC40 Recharge and the Polestar 2, and that, you know, it'll kind of just be another variant, I guess, of the Polestar 2 and stuff. And so that one will supposedly be arriving in 2023, but there's no speculation on when we can expect that smaller Volvo. But just, you know, good to see that they're trying to, again, bring some of these electric vehicles down to a lower price point so that other people can afford them as well, even though they are kind of, you know, luxury brands. And so cool to hear that. Genesis this week has also teased a couple new models here with a little video that was talking about their chief creative officer and kind of his background and stuff. And so this isn't like a direct teaser of these models, but you kind of see them in the background and they're not hidden or anything. So it's, you know, pretty easy to pick out here. So first is a shooting brake version of the Genesis Concept X, which was already a stunning looking vehicle that we were desperately hoping would get produced. And now there's a shooting brake version as well, which just sweetens the deal. It's like they know the direct line to enthusiast hearts is stuff like this, and so that's awesome. And yeah, just, you know, we get a little glimpse of it and that's it. The other two models that were shown in the background on a shelf there are a fastback version of a GV80, which, you know, we've heard a lot of, and I think there's actually some spy shots floating around of something like this as well, but now we see basically what it's going to look like, at least in a little model size version. There's also another new model there in the bottom left corner of that shelf, and that is most likely the new GV90, if that is in fact a production model or whatever that is there. But, you know, that's also cool that, you know, we can't really make out too many details here, but it's just kind of cool to see what they're working on a little bit, you know, behind the scenes there. And hopefully we'll see more of all three of those vehicles here sometime relatively soon. For some other Hyundai Group news here, Hyundai has revealed a new XRT trim for the Tucson for 2022. And so this follows the same established formula that we had a few months ago with the Santa Fe XRT that started this whole thing, and now we have it on the Tucson here. And it's basically the same thing. We have SEL trim with the convenience package for the Tucson, and then this adds on the aggressive cladding on the lower part of the front and rear bumpers, as well as around the fenders and lower door area there. You also, of course, get unique wheels. There's running boards, a roof rack, and a few other little things. Mechanically, it's the same as any other SLE Tucson, including the option of either front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, which, you know, clearly shows you this is not supposed to be any kind of real off-roader if it's available with front-wheel drive. But anyway, they're going to be starting at $30,475, including destination. And if you're someone who is interested in a Ford Maverick Hybrid, but you haven't placed an order yet, I have some bad news for you. It sounds like they're extremely popular, and Ford revealed to CarBuzz this week that the Maverick Hybrid has been so popular that they're fully sold out of the hybrid version, and ordering is now closed until next summer when it will reopen for the 2023 model year versions of the Maverick Hybrid. So if you wanted one and you haven't already ordered, now your choices are basically to either pay a huge markup on one at a dealership, which is dumb, or you can you know, pay a few extra bucks for the turbo-powered Maverick if you're okay giving up the good fuel economy and the lower price point. And then, you know, otherwise you can just wait until next year and order one then, and, you know, wait about 12 months or so to get one if you haven't already ordered one. So yeah, great to see Ford having so much success, and although that's unfortunate, at least the waitlist isn't as long as the F-150 Lightning. With that, even with them, supposedly they're trying to fast track production and ramp up production even faster than they were originally planning. But with that, I think they said that the F-150 Lightning sold out for about 3 years still. So, you know, if you wanted one of those and you haven't pre-ordered one of those, it's going to be crazy. It's almost like getting to be like you could have a whole cottage industry of people that just place early pre-orders for all the hot vehicles and just flip them all immediately. You'd probably be able to make a decent amount of money doing that with how insane the car market is these days. So yeah, but and also this illustrates that at least as far as Ford's concerned, there's plenty of interest in hybrids and EVs, even though you know, everyone else in the enthusiast world seems to think it's the worst thing ever. Lots of excitement clearly with hundreds of thousands of people wanting hybrids and EVs here from Ford. So interesting to see that. that. The last three stories this week here are cars that are going away, sadly, and they're all pretty cool performance vehicles as well, which is unfortunate. So first here, Mercedes is getting rid of the AMG A35s here for the U.S. market, and it's leaving immediately. It's already been scrubbed from their website, and it's not even getting a 2022 model year vehicle. So whatever 2021s are left on the lot, that's all you have left, and that's it. So Mercedes confirmed it to CarBuzz, but they didn't give a reason as to why they're getting rid of it, and especially so quickly. Now, A-Class sales in general haven't been doing very well. Even, I mean, there's always going to be a smaller market for those, but they've really been dropping off even, beyond just the typical pandemic drop-off here for car sales. So, yeah, I'm not sure how long any of the A-Classes will stick around, so it makes sense that the AMG one was the easy first cut here. And so... yes, if you still want the 35 engine, you can still get it in the GLA and the GLB, but just sad that, the fun little compact sports sedan thing is once again going away, although this is a luxury one, but still just, another somewhat affordable, fun little vehicle that's going away here, sadly, for our market, but it will continue to be available in Europe and other places. Another discontinuation, it's not official yet, but Automotive News is claiming that the Maserati Ghibli will be discontinued after 2022. It will continue to be produced through 2022, so that might trickle into a 2023 model year vehicle, possibly, or they'll just be 2022s and that's it. And they also say that it will not be replaced by a new version. So the Ghibli is done. They're giving up on that whole size segment, it sounds like. Because they say that whenever the new next generation Quattro Porte arrives here in a couple of years, that that'll be the only sedan Maserati offers. And it's sad, but this also makes a lot of sense, combined with dwindling sedan demand, as well as just Maserati. I think it was just priced a little bit too high for the Ghibli. It wasn't compelling enough for people to buy them new, especially that combined with, the reliability and all the, the little bit of part sharing and stuff. It was just a tough sell for a lot of people. And, unfortunately, it just wasn't enough to keep it around. But it certainly makes sense. And I do think the Ghibli wasn't a bad car, though. I actually reviewed one a few years back, and I think it's a really good value, especially these days. You can get a nice used one, it seems, for around 30 grand or so, maybe even a little less now, I don't know. But, they're still fun driving vehicles, and... as long as you have a higher tolerance for reliability, otherwise, I think it's still a great purchase. And so anyway, sad to see the Ghibli going away here, potentially, but I certainly wouldn't be surprised if this was officially confirmed soon. And lastly, the 2022 model year will be the last model year for the Audi TT RS here in the US, and Audi is sending it out with a special edition called the Quattro Heritage Edition. So only 50 of these will be made for the US, 10 in each of these 5 unique color combinations that Audi is offering it in. And it gets a few other subtle tweaks, but mechanically it's the same as any other regular TT RS, which will still be available, by the way, to order for this model year, which might be the better way to go, because these Heritage models are $8,250 more expensive than a regular TTRS for essentially, a few minor little tweaks and unique colors. I know it's exclusive, but that's a big, jump up even on a vehicle that's 80 grand or whatever. So just would say, if you want a TTRS, get your order in this year and avoid the Heritage Edition. But other versions of the TT will still be available beyond 2022. And they also say that if you're in Europe, the TTRS, will be continuing to be sold there. But no matter where you live, though, I'm honestly surprised the TT is living as long as it is, because there was talks of it being discontinued here over the past year or so. And so, I was expecting it to be discontinued everywhere, but instead it's just the States, at least for now. Europe gets it, and we're still getting the regular TT. I'm just kind of surprised that it's living, honestly, as long as it is, but I'm sure sales are not great. But I'm not complaining. I'm glad they're keeping it around here for one more model year. And, of course, we do know the engine lives on in the new RS3, and as well as the RS Q3 that's, available also in Europe. But so great that engine lives on. But sad, the TTRS will be leaving our market here. And just a fun little thing, a little baby R8. It's just awesome that Audi offered it. And so anyway, cool to see that, it's going out with a bang at least. But yes, that's it for all the news this week, guys. So thank you guys very much for watching. Let me know all your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments below. And yeah, please continue to stay safe and healthy. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.